What's going on, guys? Let's have a quick look at Ethereum. So a couple of days ago, on September 23rd, I've posted a little analysis talking about Ethereum itself and where we're potentially going. So at that time, we were trading at around 4.15K, and I said 3.8 to 4 is the area of strong interest for me. We've marked it out on the chart, and as you know, we've been trading towards that line, towards that section, and we've actually tagged the bottom of that chart. So currently we're trading at around 3.9, and what's interesting is I want to show you something going forward. So even though we tagged the bottom of that line, I still think there's a couple of days towards the end of the month where we could see turbulence, potentially, even maybe going a little bit below that line, below that kind of section marked out on the chart. And going into October, I'm actually quite bullish going forward. So I want to show you something interesting. Back in June, we had this market structure of just going sideways for a while. We tried breaking out to 2.8K, and then we got violently rejected of that line. And since then, people were calling for a lot lower targets. People were quite skeptical going forward for ETH, and they were calling ETH dead. I want to show you something interesting. So the RSI at that time was very, very oversold. So as you can see, we are kind of nearly tagging that bottom line of the RSI. Since then, Ethereum has managed to have a huge upside. It bounced really nicely towards the 3.9, around the $4K mark, before any significant drawback. As you can see, we had the continuation as well. So what is the current situation? Let's talk about that. So currently, the market structure is actually very similar. If you look at the chart on the daily on ETH, we're kind of going sideways for a couple of weeks, not really breaking out significantly. The breakouts were rejected, but also dumps were being bought back up. So we had a kind of a sideways action, sideways momentum before trying again, and again really violently rejected. What's interesting is we had this whole situation back in June where the sideways action broke down towards the end of the month. And as you can see right now, we did basically the same thing. Even though we were rejected, we were still kind of trading sideways, but the huge rejection happened around the same time as back in June. And we're currently tagging the interest area that I've mentioned in the tweet. But coming to the RSI, let's have a look at that, because that's given us a good picture of what could happen in the future. So as you can see, back in June, we didn't really tag the bottom line of the RSI. Right now, we were very oversold when it comes to RSI. That leads me to believe we are due for a bounce, and I'm particularly bullish for ETH and some of the major altcoins that I've mentioned on my Twitter. If you're not following me, you should. Twitter, also known as X, at the altcoin chief. So we are currently tagging that bottom line of the RSI, which means we are very oversold on ETH. And if history is to repeat, we had a huge bounce, as I said before, and that happened within the 36-day period. So it was a pretty violent bounce on ETH. If the history is to repeat around the same bounce which is 88%, which happened again back in June, it would put us at around 7.2k. If the history is to repeat, this is a very hopeful scenario, but a bounce on ETH is due, I think, especially as we go into October. What I would say is the second half of October is my timeline where I think things are going to be interesting, and that's what I'm currently betting on when it comes to Ethereum. So, as I said in a tweet, this is my area of interest. I was building a pretty significant position on ETH. And during that phase, we are currently still in that phase, as you can see. And as I said, going below that trend line for a few hours, even a few days until we close out the month is possible. So keep that in mind. As you can see, I'm getting TradingView ads because I'm not paying for it. So going into the next month, I'm bullish in October and overall Q4. Currently, people are creating leverage short positions on ETH, same as they were creating long positions before we tried breaking out. These are getting flushed same way as we had back in June. So, tell me what you think. This is my scenario for the next few weeks and months for ETH. Even though that's a hopeful scenario of going into the 7.2k that rapidly, I think we could have a bounce to around the all-time high levels in October/November. The RSI is really pushing the oversold territory, and as you can see in the past, when we hit those levels, we didn't really stay there for long, especially the June. You know, the bounce on that was pretty significant. We were trading towards that timeline of the actual dump just a few days after, which leads me to believe that we could be seeing a similar scenario right now and going into October/November. As I said before, if you're not following me on X, I do recommend you do so. I'm sharing my thoughts on the market, on large caps, low caps as well sometimes. Just recently I've called priceless, which was a quick kind of turnaround with 8.5x on the price since my call on September 23rd. So that's a quick update on ETH and the market situation from myself. I would be glad to hear your thoughts on the current scenarios, which way you're playing, and are you playing the bounce scenario with me? Let me know in the comment section below. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next one.